Hello, this is EMILIE AUTUMN, and you are watching MULATSCHAG TV, the only TV you need, especially because I'm on it.
Have you ever got your IQ tested? It must be like 200 or
Oh,
something.
yeah, it must be like 800. What are you talking about? It's probably the highest on the face of the planet. It's probably so high, I don't even know that number. No, I've never had my IQ tested. But see, I don't know if I would, because they say that, the proverbial they say that Einstein's was actually quite low, just because the kind of intelligence that is tested is apparently not completely accurate to all important fields of thought.
Probably
so.
Einstein was kind of a dork, you know. He just made fun, you know. He wrote some numbers, and people are still figuring like,
I know. Well, that's what happens with, like, I feel like modern art or really modern music or modern jazz sometimes, is it's like, it so can be, that's nice, so can be just, like, not all, so I'm not being a complete idiot, but so much of it I often feel like is just like, here's a big red something, or this is something that my 5-year-old like nephew could do, and I often feel like nobody wants to be the first to say I don't get it, so then they have to say oh I get it, and then everybody else has to say so, and then all of a sudden we all are pretending that we get something that, unless I'm the complete idiot here, which I might be, I just don't.
No, I see that just like you. A
Oh,
couple
that's
days
good.
ago, there's a real nice museum of modern art,
Yeah.
you know, with all the Warhols and
Right.
Liechtensteins. And there was one piece, it was called Paper on Wood. And that was exactly what it was.
It's just paper on some wood. In a way, that's brilliant, because those are the things that I hear about going for like millions of dollars, is because some wealthy person is just like, that is a great piece of art. And the really weird stuff is just like, that's going to be genius someday. So, yeah.
One
Well,
other-
now that we've insulted a bunch of modern artists, fuck you guys.
Exactly.
Seriously. The hell are you doing?
One other thing, your vocal range registers from like very high to very low.
Thank you for noticing. It took a while to get there, but yeah,
Right.
now it is.
How could you get there? I mean, that must be awesome training, you know, like
That's
practice.
what's funny, is I never had any vocal training at all, but I just am very determined to, like, if I hear a sound in my head and I want to make that happen, I'll just fucking find a way to make that happen. And I actually had a moment of, I think yesterday at sound check, where I was doing a song and it has this really powerful higher note and it's like very Broadway style, and it was easy. And then I was just thinking back to how all of this started, and maybe like 10, 12, whatever years ago, and I was really starting to sing for the first time, because growing up I played the violin. I never ever used my voice. I was terribly shy to even open my mouth. I mean, I hardly spoke. It was just all about this piece of wood under my chin. Like, that was my voice. That's how I communicated with the outside world. And so, like, late teens, when I was writing things, and I was like, somebody has to sing these, and I thought, well, I better sing these. But it wasn't as bad as I thought it would be, but it was very quiet. My voice was very weak, and could not go very low. And one thing I really, like, admittedly abhor is female singing voices that are only, like, kind of high, and then they do that little, like, babyish little girl thing, and I fucking hate that. I like powerful lower women voices.
Proud of it.
Yeah, which is why I'm like, admittedly, I'm really critical of female voices to a point where it's unfair, and I'm much more accepting of male voices. But so yeah, I really wanted to develop a lower range, and I just kept practicing. I mean, that's really the only way, because I didn't know at all what I was doing. I think having musical training in the first place gave me an idea of, like, all right, well, you can kind of transfer some skills to that, but not really. It just took time.
Are you taking care of your voice?
Yes, I know. For example, we're having
Drinking
some
tea.
lovely tea, honey, ginger, all that stuff. So it is actually very important. Hydration, extremely important. And really just the obvious stuff like that. I mean, it's easy because
Breathing techniques and stuff.
yeah, I do practice, like, deep breathing stuff, especially because we're in corsets the whole time. They're really, really tight. They're real. They're steel boned, all of this. And so we'll be practicing a certain way, but then once we get up on stage and we put on this stuff, we're going, holy shit, okay, this is very different than sound check when we were wearing pajamas. So definitely have to practice in the corsets to make sure that I can do this. And at some point I wear at the beginning of the show, I wear 2 of these steel-boned corsets tied very tightly at once because I have to do a quick change after the first songs, and I have no way. There's like 30 seconds to get all that and get like all this on and everything. So in order to do that, I just have to go back and rip off one, and then everybody thinks, that's amazing, how did she change? And like, it was suffering through 2 fucking corsets tied tightly enough to make it look like just one. Tricks of showbiz. So that, and also, of course I don't smoke and all that stuff, I never have. So then I find that, well, I've made this rule, this sort of challenge to myself. I'm not a drinker. I can't really handle it, and I enjoy alcohol if like really. Now I save it for really good quality stuff. Like I'll spend the money on the really good stuff because I almost don't drink at all.
The good champagne.
Exactly. No, for real. It's like the champagne and the really good, really pure tequila. That's what I go for. But I've made the rule for just myself. The rest of the ladies can do what they like, but to not drink anything at all on the tour until the last day, at the end of which I will drink 3 bottles of good champagne, or even not good champagne after the show.
Whatever, give me the vodka.
Yeah, pretty much. I don't give a fuck at that point. But that's the thing. So I've decided on this tour to take it actually really, really seriously, and to basically, if it isn't beneficial to put into my body, then I won't do it. It seems to be working so far.
And also, you're a vegan. I don't know if that helps, but it kind of keeps healthy, you know.
I don't know.
It
only
might.
Because, it might. I mean, I'm sure that there are some aspects of it that are very healthy. Just it's better on your digestive system for the most part to at least not have a great deal of meat. So I hear. But then again, I think about the best singers on the face of the planet that are like these opera stars, and they're very large and eat probably anything.
5 steaks a day.
Probably so. You got to keep up that physique. But then I've heard them say that it's all about like the resonance, that is how they get this amazing resonance in their throat. So there, I'm just going to say, wow, imagine how much better I could sound if I just started eating 5 steaks a day, or like sticks of butter or something.
But ever tried opera? Is that something you dream of?
No, simply because I don't have like the training or skill to really do that, so I'm a bit realistic about that. Also, just because I have so many other dreams that need to happen before that. For example, like what I am training for, not like with a teacher or anything, but just with myself every night, what every show and every note is about to me is developing my vocal cords and just ability to sing and act so strongly that I can pull off what is now my big project after this, is the full-on theatrical musical production of my book, the Asylum for Wayward Victorian Girls book, which is kind of a tongue twister I found. It's really annoying to say, so we just call it the Asylum book, fuck it. And that is being turned into, by us, a whole like Broadway-style theatrical production, 3 hours long, a cast of 40 people, with the aim to debut that in 2014, going worldwide, but starting on London's West End Theatre District. So that's what's happening. And for that, I mean, I play it will be the story of the entire book,
Jesus.
Which is really long and like 5 pounds. So, so for that, I mean, I'm 2 main characters, because it's the me in the modern world and then the Victorian counterpart. So I would be on stage almost the whole time. That's like an inhumane amount of singing and that to be going on. So that is what I'm working for. Every show is just like, okay, it got that much stronger today. Will you be able to stay for the show tonight?
Well, I'm trying.
Sweet. I understand if you can.
We have our 6th birthday.
Oh.
Our TV show has 6th birthday.
Oh, okay.
And it's the birthday party tonight.
You've got some stuff to do.
But you're invited. You could
Thank
come later.
you.
I write it down for you later.
I doubt that they usually make us get on the bus immediately and then drive to the next place. Tomorrow I do. I don't know whether the bus driver has to go, but if there were any chance at all, we will absolutely be there. So let's make sure that we try to figure that out, because I would love to come and congratulate you all and celebrate that's actually a very important thing that you've done. Congratulations. cheers to you with my cup of vodka with a tea bag in it. It's really vodka. I'm just trying to make a good impression, not teach the kiddies to have bad behavior. Anyway, yes.
Well, coming back to that theater thing. I mean, that's something you had in mind when you wrote the book. Actually, be honest.
Yes, I had in mind, actually not the theater, I had in mind the movie of this, the film, which still is absolutely going to happen, but I've decided to make the musical first and then make the movie out of that. I thought it would be a nice segue into that. And also the musical, you get, the idea will of course be, with that you have 3 months or longer as a residency in a particular place. That's pretty much why we need to do that, is because we're just trying to show little snippets of what this show and the story is supposed to be, but there's no way you can really do it justice because it's so epic in a different club or theater every night. You just can't. So the musical, though, just after Ephiliac and I started writing the material for the next chapter, and it just became even more clear to me that this is just getting more dramatic and bigger and more symphonic and epic and all of those things, where it's like, this is not a rock record. I have to stop even pretending that it is. This is not going to be, this is not radio hits. This is not. And the good thing is I never gave a fuck about that anyway. So that kind of helps that I didn't really care. But I get to be here talking to you, and that is all that really matters, is because you understand this. We're speaking to people that are odd and understand this. And so this is the audience that matters to me. But that when I started realizing how we tell this story musically, this just has to be that big. And also because there's so many characters in this book that if I want to really present the story, we need more than me, and we need more than 4 girls on stage to be able to be, 50
you need
doctors,
speaking
all
rats.
this. Yeah, we do. Actually, we're going to have animatronic rats and puppets and things because we have to. I've been working on another film project in Hollywood with Hollywood. It seems like it's such a joke. It seems like even a funny word to say, like Hollywood. I feel like an ass, but
They will beg you,
Well, I just did something there. This amazing film project that's going to come out soon is crazy, but we had the amazing just privilege to work with one of the very biggest, best special effects, makeup, prosthetics, animatronic companies there, that because the film project is so just different and interesting, all these people, these really great crew, camera people, sound people, makeup people from all over wanted to be a part of this. So we had this company, and they do creatures and things for just major movies, and they worked with us. I got to be in the effects trailer, getting prosthetics put on my face. It took 5 hours every day, and then I'd go and shoot all night. But and that I'm almost unrecognizable. But anyway, the point is that they could do the animatronic rats. So
there you go.
Coming back to the actual purpose, we will definitely have that. We need the speaking rats. So we need.
I think filming the book, that must be 2 years work or longer.
Which is why I really want to build up to that, because with the musical, you at least get to, hopefully, unless it's so bad that it's just shut down immediately, we're going to try to avoid that. All of this is practice, like I said, every day for not getting shut down for our shitty musical. But with the film, it's out. You don't get a second chance to do that. If it's bad, it's just bad for all time. And this is the most important thing in my whole life is this story. So I have a lot of work to do. Yep.
Well, you are very productive. I mean,
yeah, there's not a lot of sleep time. Not a lot. We just stay up with the vodka. Yeah.
One other thing. You moved to Chicago. You stayed
I've
there
spent
quite some time.
Time there, but also with a whole bunch of other cities in America and London and around the world. And right now, I don't live in any particular place except for on a bus.
Yeah.
And I just realized in the wind, my mohawk here is just swaying in the breeze romantically.
It's springtime.
Yeah, you're welcome. I'm so yeah, you're welcome for getting to shoot this magnificence. But yeah, it is springtime in the asylum. So I always just say I live in the asylum because it is wherever I am. You're in it right now. You're my cellmate.
Oh, I love it.
So yeah, it's pretty nice in here, right? Yeah, we have vodka and everything.
Well, Chicago. I was figuring you might want it to go there because there is a huge German community there.
That's interesting. There's German, there's Polish, there's Mexican, there's all kinds of. It's very much like, I think of Chicago, which is an amazing city, and I love it. There as a like mini New York. It's like that cosmopolitan city with all these different sections that pretty much like everyone feels comfortable in, and that are all nationalities, and it's just a little less expensive and a little bit, I would say, safer, but actually that's not really true. New York is much safer than it used to be, and Chicago's gone down a little bit. So I don't know, it has the vibe of being, it has like the energy of being safer, I guess, because it's not so hectic. But in reality,
it used to be home of
not.
Al Capone.
Yeah, I know. No, it has a pretty gory history. So yeah, but that's also, they shoot, speaking of movies and things, like they shoot a lot of films there that are supposed to take place in England and like London specifically, because the way some of the architecture is still very old, and mostly the way in which the streets are laid out for some parts of it is like alleyways and things that are like old London. So
yeah, I wanted to ask that. Coming from Malibu, what brought you to England? Victorian age,
I know,
English writers.
Really coming from, I mean, when I was very young, I grew up in this amazing like beachside community, but the truth is I was never, unfortunately now, I mean, I wish I had been, but I was always like very indoors, just practicing violin for 9 hours a day. It really was like that. So I definitely, like, I didn't even have any friends at that time. It sounds so pathetic, but it's also...
Oh, it's the girl with the bleeding fingers.
Yeah, no, it sounds so just like dramatic, but it was. And that is why, like, childlike, I'm so just like excited and thrilled and grateful to have all of these friends as part of this, to have the audience as my friends and family, to have my girls with me every day who are my best friends on the face of the planet. Like, how lucky did that happen, and how lucky I got from like the beginnings. But the point being that I definitely didn't start in the normal child of Malibu way, and then going from there, and probably had a lot to do with being schooled at home, which really, in honesty, it doesn't mean schooled at home. It means I'm left on my own to school myself, which I did, but that means that I was able to just get into and immerse myself in the things that I wanted to learn. And from the beginning, just being like a brainy, nerdy person, I was very much just into art history, English literature, like poetry and Shakespeare and all that. Of course, that kind of puts in your mind a bit like the stories from that time, the literature of that time, and I was just completely in love with it. Also, when you really think about it, it's not that odd, because all of the music that I'm playing since I'm 4 years old is like this really old stuff. So it puts into your mind an aesthetic and a huge appreciation for really just old fucking things. And then from there, the whole reason why it got into the Victorian way of life and the musical and literary influence is for quite a different reason, actually. It's because getting into my own modern day reality story of the whole like blah blah, everybody's heard it by now, like the whole mental health issue, is that studying, I got very much into, because of that, because of the bipolar, all of those things, that I thought, if I'm going to live like this or have this condition or be locked up in places from time to time, then I might as well just really learn all that I can about this. Then I got obsessed with medical history, medicine in general, the history of psychiatry and psychology and madhouses, and like, how did this all start? What the hell? And why have we progressed so little in these areas to where it's still just so archaic and abusive? And so that went back to, these are, this is the 1800s, that psychiatry and medicine as we know it today really established it self and the sort of height of
True,
mental institutions.
true that.
So.
You know, one of the biggest names in that area is Sigmund Freud. You know, but I
Yep.
still think he was a dork. He had no clue what he was talking about.
Especially about the ladies.
It's like all
It's
about
like-
your mother, you know.
I
Come
know,
on.
and which in some cases is great, but not everything is that. And
True.
his opinions on women and our bodies and mentality and that were completely off for the most part. So that actually served, like a lot of people and doctors did, to really just fuck us up for another number of years.
Exactly.
So we're still making up for that.
So that they can make a living, you know.
Yeah, it's just the thoughts that they developed at the time based on some really primitive thinking and the opinions about genders and gender roles and inferiority and things at the time, which were just, I mean, still a lot of it is global, but in that time, you know, that's what everybody thought. And there was even a book written at that time that was from a learned, supposedly medical person, that the whole premise of it was, are women really human? Are they really related to men? Or are they some like elevated form of monkey? And that was a book that was out there to try to convince people of this. So I've never been able to get a hold of a copy of that. I know it exists. And I've read about this thing, but like that was okay to write something like that, to where then I'm starting, maybe we're not related. Oh my God, what are you? Who am I? I don't know. I mean, look at this. What the hell is going on here? So, yeah, I don't know. Maybe he was right. I'm going to rethink this whole thing. Maybe he was fucking right.
Well, excellent. We could talk for hours.
I know we could. We should end on the note of, I am a monkey.